Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Wars Winter League Top 8 of 2014. And this is the final match between Zach Bunn on the right and Dennis Harlien on the left. This is a high-profile match, I would say. World champion Dennis. Zach, you're on top 16. And as you guys might have gathered by now, if you haven't seen Game 1, go watch it. It's very important to the relevance and how this game plays out. And secondarily, you will discover that I am joined by Zach, who is actually there on the right.
Hey, everybody.
So we actually get to have one of the players here in the booth with us, which is very nice. And we'll share some insights, I'm sure, Zach, with everyone regarding what you're thinking and what's going through your head, which can be very helpful.
And I played Dennis quite a bit, so I sometimes know what he's thinking.
Yes, and it's very difficult sometimes to know what Dennis is thinking, but we do our best. Imperial Navy versus Rebel Alliance, pretty standard what you see here. And as we talked about last game, these decks are pretty similar to, well, if not identical to what was being run at Worlds. And these are really the builds. I feel like you can deviate a bit with the Super Friends angle, which it can be successful, but this kind of Rebel Sleuth rush seems to be really where the game lies right now.
It's very similar to what Dennis won Worlds with, and I think we both unknowingly. I built this deck a couple days before the event, never used it before the tournament, and I was tired of playing Jedi, so I wanted to give them a shot. But I had put in the Blue Squadron support objective set from Balance of the Force, one I think is really strong. And I think he'd actually done the exact same thing for the exact same objective set.
It's a shame. Last game we didn't see any of that, and so it makes me wonder if it actually made it in that deck in time or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I know we were discussing the objective afterwards, and it's a really strong objective. Those B-Wings are basically healthier Y-Wings with some extra icons. So
makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
We got the cuts, and now remember, the dial did get to 11, even though Dennis won last game. So the light side here, which is being played by Zach, is going to have to win the game before Dennis gets the dial to 11. Or I suppose if there's a tie, does it go to higher seed at this point in elimination?
Tie in the finals would go to a game 3.
Go to a third game.
Yeah, and our top 8 events are double elimination, so Dennis would have to win this match and the next match to win the tournament.
Well, you get the dream setup here. Let's look at Dennis first. Looks like he's got Council of the Sith, as well as Fall of the Jedi, and then is that a Recon? No,
that's Executor Arrives.
Executor Arrives.
Is as good as that deck once, by the way. I would take that 9 days a week.
So Dennis gets the dream objective set up here, and then you're looking at Defensive Yavin 4, huge objective for this deck. Raise the stakes and across the Annuit, which is, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a problem because you really want to damage Raise the Stakes. You need to get rid of across the Anduit. Yeah. But you need to get rid of Defensive Yavin 4, so you just kind of have 3 objectives out that are a pain.
All good. And it really does make me wonder how much an objective itself values or creates value for an objective set. A lot of people look only at the cards in the set, and maybe it's worth looking at the objective itself, because if you get a powerful, control-y, lockdown objective string out, like this one on the right that you have, and even the one that Dennis has, boy, it makes the game really sing for you, no matter what's really in those objective sets, to be honest. So good. Looks like Apprentice and Liaison are the only things up right now. Dennis empty in the hand, trying to get an early board presence and come in for a strong turn 2.
That's really a pretty strong turn against, I mean, he knows, looking at the cards, that this deck's going to be similar to his. To have that many 2-drops in under to start the game with, that advisor is going to play a huge role, I think, in keeping me in check.
Yep. And I wonder ultimately about playing the Liaison with that advisor rather than just leaving him unfocused and threatening the lockdown. But I think Dennis knows he's probably not going to win an edge battle here. But then again, this light side deck often comes out pretty much all on the board and has some trouble winning edge battles itself. So
yeah, I mean, especially when you see Defensive Yavin 4 on the table, you can guess pretty strongly they're not going to have too many cards going into the edge battle.
Yeah.
And the deck doesn't really care too much about winning the edge battle. They just like you not to block them.
Absolutely, yeah.
Dennis decided to commit the Liaison, which, if he hadn't played the Liaison, what's he going to commit? I think it's strong play.
Yeah, it's good.
He gets to draw at the start of my turn, so.
It's a thing.
And he doesn't miss it, which is great.
We should have a running tally of Dennis's trigger misses.
Let's have one for everyone, because I think I would look pretty good there too.
Yeah.
Holding the Rebel Assault, that's going to look good for you. Is there a Swindled in there as well?
There is a Swindled.
Well, this is just so silly.
The thing is, in this hand, you don't necessarily want the Rebel Assault yet.
Yeah. But you can't chuck it.
It's a card you don't want to discard, but sometimes you
can't
have
discard it, man. You can't discard it.
It's roughly 2 out of 15 of the damage you need in a game, but we'll see. Maybe I'm a wild man. Let's see what happens here.
I'm gonna wager that Rebel Assault gets played.
You don't think I discard it?
I don't think you discard it.
What do you want to bet on it? I'm not betting.
Well,
what are you going to give the audience?
Seeing as how this is you, and you did actually play this game, I feel like it's not fair.
Yeah, it's not.
Given that I'm making a blind guess, but I think you'd be a fool.
I think what I'm looking at here is I have a Blockade Runner and a B-Wing. And to play both of them and have room for a Swindle, if I can do that, the amount of damage I'm about to lay down is absurd.
Yes.
Cross the Anduit, raise the stakes. That is just going to be a lot of damage. Yeah. So we'll see what I do. Man, Defense Yavin 4 is absolutely the MVP in the stack. You get that out, and you can just play so many cards.
You can pump the board. I mean, it's a perfect example of a card that sacrifices card advantage.
All right, Blockade Runner. I really didn't want to get rid of that enhancement, but sometimes.
Oh man,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Still holding the Rebel Assault though, I notice.
What do I get rid of? And
you know what it is.
There goes the Rebel Assault. Ah!
Unbelievable.
I did not want to do it. But look how much damage is getting ready to happen.
Well, that B-Wing with 2 force icons, unreal here. And even if he wastes a defense on this to really accomplish nothing aside from...
The interesting thing here is if he doesn't block the Blockade Runner, I blow up the objective.
Yeah.
If he does block with one guy, I can bounce it.
Yeah.
If he blocks with both guys, then the B-Wing's going to get it on a post.
Yeah.
It's a terrible situation. And that's what... I was basically deciding between a Rebel Assault and not, and I felt I could get more damage with no Rebel Assault.
Yeah. And I think you bounce here, and then the B-Wing gets to go and kill the Liaison, and that looks really good.
Now, the interesting part is if I don't bounce here, he won't be able to oppose me with the B-Wing.
True.
So I can get 4 damage with the B-Wing.
And his is so edge-dependent, too. You don't want to have to go into that edge battle. He has 2 cards. So you're right.
You can't really go wrong. You can guarantee get an objective, but I think you just pass.
Yeah.
I don't need to win the edge battle with the Blockade Runner. I'll take my damage. I'm going to do 3 here, which is solid on objective. That's Rebel Assault range at this point.
Unbelievable. This string of cards, what a silly thing. 3 damage going on, and the B-Wing's just going to...
B-Wing's going to get some action.
Go crazy.
Now, see, I'm waiting to do Swindled here, because if he blocks, there's an action window before we edge battle.
Yes.
And...
Acting like it's a choice. Yeah.
He said, you did have it, dang it. Unopposed for 4 damage. So I laid 7 damage on that first turn. I think it's worth a Rebel Assault.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And that's what this deck is really fascinating to me, because it has the potential to lay it down like that.
Yeah.
Very few other decks just turn 1, rock 7 damage in. That's halfway to winning.
Yeah.
It's really unbelievable.
Now, is home run in this one?
That depends on who you are.
Yeah.
When I built this deck, there's no home runs. The problem with home 1 is he costs 5.
Yes.
And if this deck does not draw into the Defense Yavin 4, that is the bane of your existence.
Yeah.
Now, it is really nice because it comes with the Repair Droid, who works amazingly with
those protectors.
Yeah. But it's just... It ultimately didn't make my version of the deck. I went with the Blue Squadron support instead, and you can see the B-Wings getting in there.
Yeah, well, I can certainly see that. They make a lot of sense when they have this setup.
I see an aggression in Dennis's hand, so that's going to be something.
Dennis could solidify the board here a little bit and then start laying down some Sith control.
Now, interestingly, I'm seeing a lot of resources in Dennis's hands. He had that 1-cost resource. He also has the Sith Holocron. Has an orbital bombardment, which...
Boy, he's not turning into anything here.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of... And he had the economy to do whatever he wanted, so... Looks like he's going orbital bombardment.
All of his tech cards kind of all at once. Not at all what you want to see.
The interesting part about this is I've had a lot of games where early I'll draw that orbital even with 3 or 4 guys out, and it kind of makes you a little more offensive. The problem with that, though, is if you don't have blockers for this light side deck, it is awful.
Yeah, it's easy.
So what objective would you, if you're going to go after an objective this turn? I think you obviously have to turn raise the stakes off, but which one do you really want to, if you could blow one up, which one would you get rid of?
I think you have to get rid of defense. You do a lot of things with that. I think you basically give yourself the chance to draw into yet another smuggler's card, or smuggler's objective, which means that you might not be able to play a lot of things in your hand. I like that a lot. You can't reduce cost. You're limited to 4 resources. I think that just looks really good. It doesn't allow you the room on your resource pool to have a Rebel Assault and a Swindle and to threaten those kinds of things anymore.
This is really interesting. He struck to do damage, and I think he made a mistake here. I think he meant to aggression beforehand, so I get rid of the B-Wing, and then he can lock down my blockade runner. But now he's going to aggression, and it's going to kind of waste that tactics icon.
Oh, righto. Yeah.
I don't have to get rid of the blockade runner. I could draw like a Cloud City operative, but getting rid of that guarantees that I'll have a B-Wing up next turn. I think he did that. I remember talking to him, and I think he meant to do that in flip order.
Yeah.
He kind of wanted to take it back there, but he'd already done the objective damage, so I think he went ahead and went with it.
That's what you got to do. You just got to eat it.
So he's got 2 defenders up, not bad. The 1 damage on that unit could be a big deal because it could let me clear him out before he gets to strike back. But the draw here is super important. This is the kind of this deck can draw bad here and it can draw great. It looks like it didn't draw awful.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
It's not the best.
Not great though.
No, it's not the best.
Great.
But
looks like Undercover is gonna be free if you want it.
I think that Protector is going to be a big deal. Swinging in with the B-Wing first, I can protect the damage, obviously, but then if you block and I have it to swing with that extra blast damage, it's pretty rough to block it.
First play here. I wonder if the Operative is going to come out. Operative occupies a weird slot, you know. It's free, but it's also not really anything.
It's free, but it can also be used to play my vehicles cheaper.
There it is.
So I definitely want to get the Protector and Red 2 out. Red 2 could be huge here because he's got 2 very damaged objectives.
Yeah, Red 2 could do some work.
So I'll be curious how this plays out. I don't really exactly remember this sequence. That was at 3. I mean, that first turn is so strong.
Yeah, it can be a pretty casual pace, honestly, from this point on. But you have to respect orbital bombardment as well. You just gotta recognize that a couple of things here or there can really start to push things.
And another to play red. Yep.
It still looks okay.
So if you notice here, I think I saved 1 smuggler resource. I do not have swindled.
No.
But I want him to think I have swindled. I did discard an extra card to save that resource open. But this is one of those things that's really interesting because, if I attack with something and you think I have swindled, then you want to block with 2 things, and then if you block with 2 things, you don't have any defenders left. So it's a really funny way of going about it, but we'll see what happens.
The funny things to me about those kinds of plays, and this experience in Netrunner as well as Thrones, pretty much any card game, once you reach a certain level of basically player recognition that knows kind of how these decks work and knows how Swindled works and that your deck would have Swindled in it and all that, something like this bluff play works very well. But if you were to bust this out against somebody who doesn't recognize the Swindled threat, it's meaningless, it's pointless. So, I mean, if you're coming into a big tournament, sometimes this kind of a bluff won't always work because you might just not be playing against somebody who's aware or familiar with that kind of thing.
I also want to note, I just saw the card in my hand. And it's I don't know the name of it, but it's 1 cost. After you blow up an enemy objective, you can steal one of their enhancements.
Oh, no.
So
is that Orbital?
That is Orbital.
No.
So my intent is to store Orbital. And I'm pretty sure I make a really big mistake in the way I sequence this turn out.
It's one of those that sticks with you?
It does. I saw that card, and I think it's Smuggler's Run.
Yeah.
But I'm just picturing in my head, it's like if I get Orbital, this game is over.
Yep.
Like this is so over, it's crazy.
Yep.
And I think I screw it up pretty hard.
All right, well, I'll be interested to see that.
I think
All of us watching will love to see the clinic on how to do this incorrectly.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Nothing much. We just got to watch with
Well, the
bated
interesting
breath.
thing is I can't win the edge battle if I want to play that card. And
I hope you didn't attack Fall of the Jedi here. I'm going to guess that you did, though.
I think I actually ended up going after Executor Arrives. I wanted him to give it to me unopposed for 2 damage.
Yeah.
If he blocks, then he's going to be down a guy. He didn't block, so it's 2 damage. And it may or may not have been a mistake, but I believe I almost attacked with everything on Fall of the Jedi. Just to guarantee that I could clear both of his units and destroy the objective and steal his orbital bombardment.
It seems like a very safe play for a man who only needs to dial to 11, or who, like, you've got time here, so I would go with safe over risky for a big benefit.
Yeah, and that's what my greatest fear actually was, multiple heated battles.
Yeah.
But at the same time, only need to do 1 damage. I have 3 black unit damage among my units. I could have killed his 2 potential blockers. And protected with the protector and still blown the objective up and stolen orbital. And I did not go that route.
This looks like an undercover operative that is just going to get wasted.
It is going to get wasted very hard. These are just mistakes. I mean, right? Like,
for those keeping track at home,
if I just go in with the B-Wing, you can't block with that unit. You have to block with a Stormtrooper. I can divide the damage. It's not really that great of a block. But instead, I throw my character out. I do remember thinking that he probably is going to end up with a Force Choke at some point.
He just heated battle then?
He did.
Why?
I think he's just digging, man. He needs units. He doesn't need heated battles.
This is his first match, second game.
All right, so now
Zach got the dial to 11.
it still looks like a good play to me, though. I mean, I think you still get the orbital.
I mean, the problem is...
Oh, you don't have the unit damage.
I don't
to
have
blow
the...
them up.
That's what, going red 2 first was the mistake. I could have just sent them all at Fall of the Jedi, and I honestly think if I'd gone all of them at Fall of the Jedi, he may not have even blocked.
Yeah.
Because it's just 1 damage. And there's no way that goes great for you. But then if I steal orbital, that is just so clinching.
You know what's funny is to watch this turn go from potentially game ending to really just sad. Yeah. And it's just, the momentum of it just falls right to the ground here.
Yeah, I mean, my eyes got so big when I saw that card to steal orbital.
And you don't even get to use it.
And I didn't get to use it. I saved the resource for it. It's just a shame. I mean, I could have at least played the Bothan Spy instead of the Operative to see his hand.
Yeah.
And make sure that I could do whatever I wanted to do. But hey, we'll see what happens. I still have 9 damage on the board.
Here's a holocron.
He's got resources for days. Can you imagine if you steal that orbital? The look on your opponent's face?
I can't.
It's like I paid 1. I destroyed an objective, and then I paid 1 to steal a 4-cost enhancement that gives all my units a black blast.
It's really... It was a moment that I would have liked to capture. But alas, we have
not.
We've moved past it.
Man, look at that. Executor who has 4 blast damage at this point.
Oh, man.
That's a wrecking ball, but that's only 1 unit, which is not exactly what you want to see here. I also saw aggression, so I don't know if he's going to have the resource to play it or not, but if he does, that's a lot of damage that he can rein in. And he may be eyeing the prize. The interesting part here is even if he blows up all 3 objectives on this turn, he gets the dial to 10.
Yep.
I bet they could get it. You got those 2 left to defend. That would be cool.
Not quite enough. Executor, a really interesting unit to use. He's so good on both sides of the game. Can play defense, can play offense, and it's really tempting to swing with all those icons.
It's important to note he's not elite as a sidestep there, because so many times I've seen players attack with him, and then the other player plays a tactics icon and locks him down for the game, and your 8-cost unit is just locked.
He's big and slow.
Looks like Executor went after defense, and I just let him have it.
Well, that is the right choice. I'm glad that Dennis and I agree on which one to take away.
Clearing the red 2 damage there. And the interesting part here is I would give him all 3 objectives
Yeah.
if he would attack with 3 different attacks. I have no need. Die would go to 10, and then he's just wide open.
Yes.
All day.
And the funny thing, I think you might have to chuck that smuggler's run. It's just not going to do anything for you. I think you win the game next turn.
Well, the interesting part is if I can blow up an objective and steal it, it'll still work on the rest of my attacks that turn.
Yeah.
Which could provide a major advantage.
That is true. Dennis having a really... I mean, he knows this board is slanted given the win conditions placed on this game by the previous one. So it's not looking good.
I think it's terrible. Unless that's a very... No, there's a bunch of rogue cards. There's an entire deck built about discarding your opponent's deck and then playing the cards from the discard pile.
Where is he going to... Is that a Talon roll that he's got? Doing nothing for him.
Was it a Talon roll?
I thought maybe... Oh, man, I bet you're happy to see this attack.
He's going to raise the stakes there. I mean, I feel like with the protect out, there's no reason not to block here. Or is there? I don't know.
Red 2 feels like a good block here.
Part of me is hands off and just like... The interesting thing about this is he's going to have 1 unit left. So with 1 unit left, I mean, there's no reason. Like, all I need
a Rebel
is...
Assault.
or a Swindle.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have nothing on the board anymore. Even with just the 1, I have the Protector out so I can divide the damage. You can't really do much of anything. He does have an aggression, and I think he's got the resource to play it. So he can trigger Executor twice, which is interesting, both for objective damage or for unit damage. He can really mess me up.
And you say, okay.
Yep. No reason at all to block that. Except for, what if he has aggression? Then he can blow it up.
Did you ever see that playmat? I wanted that playmat super hard. Zach has one.
Well, there it is.
Favorite card in the game.
I'm going to sack
So
the
I have to
advisor.
sacrifice first.
B-Wing goes.
Yep. And then he gets to do his 2 damage. Ultimately, the reason I'm keeping red 2 there is because I know the work he can do when you have this many objectives that are damaged.
Yeah. And he goes with Animate there, and I would be tempted to try to clear out the board. I mean,
Yeah.
you just get the Protector, but...
I mean, he is getting rid of Anduit, which takes away some of my damage, but the problem is he's blown up 2 objectives, so I'm going to get to draw 2 more.
Yeah.
Raise the stakes could be money here. Crossing Anduit could be money. So we'll see what I draw. He's passing to me. He draws. He gets a dark precog. He's got that 1 unit. Ultimately, Smuggler's Run looks like it's had its run. It would have been fun.
But it just didn't happen. As many Rebel plans often go. It just kind of lost steam.
Now, if you look at the current state of affairs, assuming I could bounce a Stormtrooper, I have on the board the tools to win.
Yeah.
I can combine on the bottom. The Executor arrives. Looks like I have balance, so I'm doing a damage to it there.
Blue
So
Squadron and
red
prepare,
2,
not what you want.
red 2 alone can blow up Council of the Sith and Executor arrives and be unfocused for Fall of the Jedi. So at this point, a Rebel Assault or a Swindle, then it looks like I drew Blue Squadron support, which lets you focus it to look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put 1 on bottom, put 1 in your hand.
Nah, you probably want to... I don't know. Do you want to dig there?
It depends on what I draw. But, yeah, I mean, if I draw anything at all to get rid of that Stormtrooper, this is kind of sealed. Oh, man. I didn't. But I did draw 2 sleuths. I also drew the Blue Squadron Leader. I lost Defensive Evan 4, so I'm going to have to pay for whatever I use. But Blue Squadron Leader, when he strikes, he gets to do damage to another objective. And he's
Wow.
just a beast. So I've got a feeling we'll see him. And it looks like I had the upgrade that gives him a unit and a blast damage, which seems like the right play. Keep cards in my hand. And kind of just roll out. I have that vehicle protector, which I can't speak enough about the importance of it in this scenario.
Look at that, 2 black objective damage.
That's what you want.
Theoretical 10-10 where he starts.
Yeah, I can. If I go at Council of the Sith, I mean, unless he can kill me.
Then I can't play Vince.
I saw Vader in his hand, which could be saucy on the next turn if he can make it.
Yeah, I'm feeling like this is the closer.
On that turn, he can't play cards. That's fair. I
A meager stormtrooper guarding the base.
Maybe. I don't know. They're the players.
It's tough. It is tough, and it's a fine balance. I mean, imagine here if he has Executor to block.
Run 2 credits or something. A lot of
That seems good.
If he didn't attack with either of those guys, I mean, I know he blew up 2 of my objectives and clicked the dial up, but he could do that next turn too.
because that keeps you from doing like index.
So I don't know. It's a really interesting scenario. I'm surprised he was that offensive with it. Maybe he's hoping I don't draw any vehicles.
I think that like runs medium.
To upgrade?
I think you have to upgrade.
Or maybe just
It just makes it so
you can
good.
even say can't.
Yeah, well, there it goes.
Yeah, that's the problem. You can either run or draw cards you can credits. I'm done.
I'm curious. It's funny when you're watching
I'm done.
from a camera, but there's really just no reason. I mean, the game is over, really, if you just play it out. There's not too much Dennis could have. I think I ended up going there to give red 2 a black objective damage,
Yeah, I like that.
so I can attack and know for certain if he blocks that I can just pass, let him win the edge, divide the damage, and still blow up the objective.
Yep. Dennis, no resources open. No tricks. Could have... no. Could not really have anything here.
Yep, I'm... yeah.
So this is looking like for the game. This sequence here, we'll be interested to see where it goes. Interested in the sense that if it doesn't go your way, Zach,
I was
will
getting
be
ready to say that.
amazingly surprised.
Well, what's interesting is if maybe, he could have a couple heated battles. If he had 2 heated battles and 1 with a stormtrooper, he could then strike, and there's nothing I can't protect enough. And the interesting part is if it goes wrong, there's no way he doesn't win on his next turn.
Yeah, it goes really wrong for you.
So it's crazy. I really need to be able to win an edge battle here. If I can attack the Council Sith with Blue Squadron Leader and strike, I can pretty much win the game. So it kind of comes down to an edge battle, which is what you want.
The first thing that needs to happen is Red 2 needs to unfocus here.
He actually had an extra objective damage
Aha!
from the enhancement, so he doesn't unfocus yet.
All right.
If he did, though, that's why I shouldn't have upgraded. Going at Council. We'll see if Dennis has 2 heats.
I need to get a new thesaurus.
I'm going to say that he doesn't.
If he does not, then I would presume that it is the game. See what happens. All right, he's blocking. This is the edge battle. Twist of my battle, Hoth.
Twisted.
And I'm all in. He's all in.
Everyone's all in.
Wow, 2 Vaders. He wins the edge, but there's not a heated battle.
All right, well, that's really all that matters.
No resources. No resources.
No resources, no cards in hand. Take 1 on the Protector.
Needed a heated battle or something else doing extra damage.
And looks like this is going to be it here.
Yep, as I said, there's absolutely nothing I can do.
There it is. And there we have it.
Well done. All right, well,
Zach is our winner.
that seems like a good little show of exactly where this game is right now.
It is indeed where this game is.
Thank you guys for watching. Zach, thanks for joining us here, and I'm sure everyone else who's watching appreciates the insight and commentary there. We really do appreciate all you guys do for us, the support that you give, and if you want to check us out on the live stream every Tuesday, 6:30 Central Standard Time, is when these Star Wars games and tournaments will be streamed. So catch us there, teamcovenant.com/TV. And if you want to support us even further, you can see those nice Force tokens that Zach's using. That's actually the original version. Dennis is using them as well. We have just released an updated version of those with some nice stripes, some 3 damage tokens, and just overall just better production on those. So if you want to check those out and upgrade your Star Wars experience, hit it up. That's a good way to do it. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time on more top 8s, more Worlds coverage in the the far future, and then regionals coverage here in the near future.
Thanks for watching, guys.